Good evening and welcome to the Primetime News on MITV. I am Jumoke Michaels. The headlines. Military releases details of 19 wanted terrorists, places 5 million naira bounty on each. Nnamdi Kanu's trial adjourned indefinitely. From the foreign scene, U.S. President Joe Biden says no new Cold War with China after meeting Chinese counterpart. And in sports, Ghana, Tunisia release Qatar 2022 FIFA World Cup squad. Welcome again, and now to the details. The Defense Headquarters on Monday published details of 19 wanted terrorists with a reward of 5 million naira reward for any person who brings information leading to the arrest of any of the insurgents. In a statement, the Director of Defense Information, Major General Jimmy Akpo, said Nigerians should contact the military on 091-3590-4467 with relevant information that can lead to their capture. The statement said the identities of 19 terrorist commanders who have been wreaking havoc in northeast, northwest and north central zones of the country are Sani Dangote of Dumbarum Village, Zurmi local government area of Zamfara State, Bello Toji Guda of Fekai Village of Zamfara State, Leko of Mozo Village, Mutazu local government area of Katsina State, Dogo Nahali of Yard Samia Jino Village, Kankara local government area of Katsina State, Halilu Sububu of Sububu Village in Maradun local government area of Zamfara State, Nagona of Angwang Galadima in Isa local government area of Sokoto State, Nasanda of Kwashabawa Village in Zurmi local government area of Zamfara State, amongst 11 others. President Muhammadu Buhari on Monday forwarded the 2023 budget proposals of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, and that of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, to the House of Representatives for consideration and approval. Also forwarded were the Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal, CCT, and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria Alteration Bills 2022 to the House. The Speaker of the House, Representative Femi Gbajabiamila, made the disclosure in 3 separate letters from the President read at the resumed plenary. The letter read thus: pursuant to Section 121 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, I forward the Federal Capital Territory 2023 statutory budget proposal for the kind consideration of the House of Representatives. Also on the NDDC budget, the letter read, in accordance with Section 18, subsection 1 of the Niger Delta Development Commission Establishment Act, I forward herewith the 2023 estimate of the Niger Delta Development Commission for the kind consideration and passage of the House of Representatives. The Senate gave visible concept the construction firm handling the 30 billion naira renovation work at the National Assembly a marching order on speedy completion and delivery of projects. This is as the site engineer handling the renovation work of the National Assembly project, Engineer Tajuddin Olanipeku, demanded for more mobilization funds in the presence of the Executive Secretary of the Federal Capital Development Authority, FCDA, Shehu Hadi Ahmad, during an on-the-spot assessment of the projects by Senate Committee on FCT. FCDA had in March this year, due to serious dilapidation of National Assembly project, awarded contracts for rehabilitation of critical segments like the hallowed chambers of the Senate and the House of Representatives, the dome in the White House, as well as construction of Office of National Assembly Service Commission, NASC, and the library at the cost of 30 billion naira. But at the second on-the-spot assessment visit carried out by the Senator Smart Adeyemi-led committee on Saturday, members of the committee were worried about the slow pace of work. Disturbed by the response, Senator Adeyemi told the Executive Secretary of FCDA to get in touch with the minister for more funds for the contractors.
That this Saturday we'll see a lot of people working. The number of you who are on site here, you are very few. And you are telling me you are going to meet up. How are you going to meet up? And I'm happy that the ES have talked about the second phase. You see, we don't want this project to get to a point that next year it will now be another issue. Another government, the government will now start thinking of it. Let everything that is required for this project to move forward be beyond, so that we know that, okay, we are looking towards completion. So what are the challenges? Because you are talking as if you are not even part of the company. The fact is that, what are the problems? Why is the slow pace of work? The plan originally was that by January ending, the two chambers will be operational. But the way I'm looking at it, I don't know how you want to meet up the January deadline. I doubt if that's visible. So what are the problems? What are the constraints? And I'm sure you have been paid. Abi, you people have been paid.
Yes, yes.
So what?
Inside the chambers, we need to build those scaffolds to reach the summit of the ceiling, which we've just completed now. We are now mounting platforms, which are the work platform, that will enable our workers to climb onto through the scaffold to reach the ceiling. So that is what we are doing, and most of the works are internal. The external work is on the dome and the pyramids. So, and people are there. In terms of the fluctuation in the price, yes. We place orders for all the equipment and items at the beginning of the contract. But in payment terms, we don't give 100% of money to be used in procurement, because it has to be staggered by the payment terms of the supplier. And in that case...
So the problem is money.
Money, yes.
It's money.
Yes.
We shall come to you for more funds.
In another development, the Lagos state government says it is committed to strengthen collaboration with the French government on agro-allied and other bilateral relations. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu stated this when he received the Senate committee members on Foreign Affairs, Defense and Armed Forces of the Senate of the French Republic, led by the French ambassador to Nigeria, Emmanuel Blackman, on a courtesy call at Lagos House Marina. The governor commended the parliamentarians who were on oversight function, saying these would further strengthen synergy between France and Nigeria on security, trade, commerce, transportation, technology, create employment opportunities for youth, among other interventions. The French ambassador to Nigeria, Emmanuel Blackman, and chairman of the committee, Bernard Fournier, said the delegation was on a 3-day visit and various engagements of strategic importance, as well as programs which included meeting with French business community, tours, among others, had been lined up as part of the visit.
In transportation that you mentioned, they are helping us, and there's a loan that we're currently drawing down on. The scope of the transaction a little bit, but we're on track. Like you said, he's also interested in the election coming up in our country, because we know that some of the presidential candidates have tried to see him. They are trying to know what his thoughts are. So we know that French government is interested in the outcome of our election.
Mission. First of all, it's been quite some time that we haven't had French parliamentarians coming to Nigeria. I think it shows the interest and the strategic importance on all sectors and all levels that we have for.
Still in Lagos, where the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has commended the Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu-led administration for its support on the revamping of the National Theatre and hosting the first United Nations World Tourism Organization, UNWTO, Global Conference, holding in Lagos. Speaking when he led the United Nations World Tourism Delegation to pay a courtesy visit on Governor Sanwo-Olu at the Lagos House Marina, the minister said with the support of the administration, the first phase of the complex had been completed, the land had been reclaimed, and infrastructure had been put in place in the area. Governor Sanwo-Olu, in his response, said the state government was poised to build infrastructure and a bigger ecosystem for tourism to thrive in the state, while creating opportunities as well as employment for the youth. Speaking earlier on the first Global Conference on Linking Tourism and the Creative Industries themed Pathways to Recovery and Inclusive Development, Secretary General of the organization, Zurab Pololi Kashivili, said the conference would promote Lagos and Nigeria as a cultural and tourism destination, support local entrepreneurs, as well as create employment.
That the state continue to improve living standard, continue to be a resilient and a sustainable city. It continue to provide provide opportunity for young Nigerians. It's all about job creation. It's all about giving opportunity for the youth, for the young population that have a future ahead of them.
Because you took it on yourself to reclaim a huge portion of the abandoned land in National Theatre to build 4 verticals, one for information and technology, one for fashion, one for music, and one for the film industry.
Nigeria and African continent never had such big youth population like it's today. This is the first time, and this is the biggest population in the history of the planet. So we want to support youth, especially in Nigeria. We saw that there is a huge talent. I announced today that 50% of projects we received from all over the world was from Nigeria.
The Federal High Court Abuja has adjourned indefinitely the trial of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, in the terrorism charges brought against him by the federal government. Justice Binta Inyako put off the trial, sine die, at the instance of Kanu, pending the resolution of the federal government's appeal against the October 13 judgment of the Court of Appeal that discharged him from the terrorism charges. The federal government's appeal seeking reversal of the Court of Appeal judgment is pending before the Supreme Court. 2 other cases billed for hearing before the court were also put off indefinitely for the same reason. Meanwhile, Kanu refused to appear before the Federal High Court on Monday. The refusal to honor the High Court was conveyed to Justice Inyako by the federal government's counsel, Mohammed Abubakar. The presidential candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has continued to receive endorsement and support ahead of the presidential election in February 2023. This is more so as a Tinubu-Shetima support group has identified Tinubu as a genuine patriot who will promote excellence instead of mediocrity, encourage national morality regardless of ethnic or sectarian alliance. The national coordinator of the Patriots Roundtable, Prince Uthman Shodikpe Dosumu, stated this in Lagos at the first town hall meeting of the group with the theme, The Nation, the People and Patriotic Leadership, and the Asiwaju Example, to espouse Asiwaju Bola Tinubu's achievements and leadership qualities. Shodikpe Dosumu describes the former Lagos State Governor as the person the cap fits ahead of the presidential poll in view of his leadership precedence as a nation builder and cultivator of talented men and women, indifferent to their ethnic or sectarian differences. The National Director of Media and Strategic Communications of the group, Dr. Emeka Nwosu, said records had proved that Tinubu has continued to record great achievements in Lagos and beyond, adding that the Tinubu-Shetima ticket will replicate astounding success at the national level.
Team for this town hall meeting is called The Nation, the People, and Patriotic Leadership, the Asiwaju Example. There is no other way. This is our moral challenge. Let us seize the moment of rectifying the pervading ills. This is our patriotic duty. Like Churchill told us, would dare not fail nor falter. Your rising beckons with promise, with truth, with triumph, with the clear certitudes of the remaining light. Let us go forth to make Nigeria a great nation. Let us work together.
The theme of the town hall meeting, which is the nation, the people, and the patriotic leadership, the Aswaju example, is quite apt and relevant considering the crisis of development in our country, which largely derives from unpatriotic and poor leadership. Our country and our people desire the yearns for patriotic leadership, which will truly deliver the real evidence of democracy to all Nigerians.
Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency in Ogun State on Monday revealed the command made the seizure of 3.587 tons of dried cannabis sativa in Ogere, Remo area of Ogun State. Addressing newsmen at the command's headquarters in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, NDLEA commander in Ogun State, Archie Abia Ibinabo, said the cannabis sativa were found in a warehouse that was used for storage purposes. While reiterating her commitment in the fight against drug abuse in Ogun State, she said 2 couples were arrested in connection with the seizure. On the spot, the special advisor to Ogun State Governor on Security, Olushola Zubair, said the government will continue to support security agencies in the state towards achieving remarkable feats.
.587 tons of dried cannabis sativa. Oh, we got it from Ogun State, specifically from Ogere, in a house where they were using as a warehouse, as a storage. We got it with the owners of the exhibits. So yes, we had arrests. We had about 2 couples. They were actually the custodian of the house. Those things where they stay, they keep it, and distribute it.
The government was of assistance to them, when a farm of a plantation of cannabis sativa was destroyed about a month ago. It was through the effort of government in supporting them with logistics and then the intelligence.
Up next on the Primetime News are stories from the foreign scene after this break. Welcome back. South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa will step aside if charged over an alleged cover-up of a robbery at his private farm, which is under a series of investigations. President spokesman Vincent Magwenya told journalists that should the president be charged, he would not hesitate to step aside, but he was quick to add that as things stand, there are no criminal charges against the president. Dubbed Farmgate, the controversy surrounds the robbery at Fala Farm back in February 2020 and the alleged aftermath. The theft was allegedly committed by Namibian nationals who conspired with a domestic worker at the farm.
Constitutionally enshrined presumption of innocence until proven guilty remains. And so I guess the question is best posed to those who've made the call for the president to step aside as to what informs those calls. Should the president be charged, he will gladly step aside, if should it be the case. But as things stand, there are no criminal charges against the president. What you have is a series of investigations that he's fully cooperating with, and he will continue to.
United States President Joe Biden and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping have opened their first in-person meeting since the former took office nearly 2 years ago, aiming to manage differences between the superpowers as they compete for global influence amid increasing economic and security tensions. Xi and Biden greeted each other with a handshake at a luxury resort in Indonesia's Bali Island on Monday, where they were attending the Group of 20 G20 summit of large economies before they sat down for what was expected to be a conversation lasting several hours. To open the meeting, Biden said as the leaders of the two nations, they share responsibility to show that China and the United States can manage their differences. Xi said he hoped they would chart the right course for the China-U.S. relationship and that he was prepared for a candid and in-depth exchange of views with Biden.
Than the United States of America. Now, I'm happy to take questions, and I'm told there are going to be 4 questioners, but I'm not going to do 10 questions from each questioner. All right? Let's make that clear at the outset here. And Ken Thomas, Wall Street Journal.
You said at the outset of this meeting that you did not want competition to turn into conflict. Based on this meeting today, do you believe a new Cold War with China can be avoided?
In the meantime, ahead of the G20 summit, the world's largest economic forum is tasked with hashing out solutions to some of the thorniest problems facing the global economy. This year, the list of challenges facing the club of leading economies whose headline summit takes place on Tuesday and Wednesday in Bali is more daunting than usual. Inflation in many countries is running at 40-year highs, in large part due to soaring energy prices, as the war in Ukraine and China's zero-COVID policies disrupt supply chains.
Minister, do you anticipate meeting President Biden either here in Cambodia or in Bali in the next couple of days? And can you give us a sense, obviously you've got a full summit day tomorrow, what will be the focus of your efforts tomorrow at the summit?
There's no doubt that I'll be having a chat with President Biden while we are here and then at the G20. We haven't locked in a bilateral meeting at this point in time. We await whether that happens or not, but President Biden and I have a relationship. We will be able to have a chat. There's no question about that, as we did in London the last time and as we did previously.
The Secretary General of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, has said that after recapturing Kherson City, Ukraine faces difficult months ahead. He told reporters in The Hague on Monday, after meeting the Dutch foreign and defense ministers, that Russian President Vladimir Putin's aim is to leave Ukraine cold and dark during the winter. Stoltenberg praised the incredible courage of Ukrainian forces following Russia's withdrawal from the strategic southern regional capital and urged continued international support for Kyiv.
Most wars end at some stage around the negotiating table, but what happens around that table is fundamentally linked to the situation on the battlefield. So what we should do is to support Ukraine, to strengthen their hand, so at some stage there can be negotiations where Ukraine prevail as an independent sovereign nation in Europe. It's for Ukraine to decide. It's them to pay. They are paying now the highest price in.
You're still watching the Primetime News on MITV. We'll take another break to bring you sports news.
We don't die for where we dey, oh yeah. Now so promise and fail, oh yeah. And it don't dey, we don't dey wait. PDP don't come again. Jando malo le she, alama tele o. Jando for governor. Jando under PDP. Jando 2023. Jando alama tele o. Jando for governor. Jando for Lagos. Jando
vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jandor as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
Welcome back. Nigeria's athletic sensation Tobi Amusan has made it into the final list of 5 for the 2022 World Athletics Awards in the women's category. The names of the 5 finalists for Women's World Athlete of the Year was confirmed by the World Athletics on Monday. The 5 athletes, who represent 5 countries from 3 area associations, have achieved sensational performances across a range of athletics disciplines in 2022 at the World Athletics Championships Oregon 2022, World Athletics Indoor Championships Belgrade 2022, World Day meeting circuits, and other events around the world. Kamal Sowa's form for Club Brugge in the Champions League has won him a World Cup call-up for Ghana after the uncapped striker was on Monday included in the country's squad for Qatar. The 22-year-old was a surprise selection as coach Otto Addo named his 26-man squad for the tournament, where the Black Stars face Portugal, South Korea and Uruguay in Group H. Sowa has impressed as the Belgian club reached the last 16 of the Champions League, knocking out Atletico Madrid and Bayer Leverkusen in the process. There was also a first call-up for midfielder 22-year-old Salis Abdul Samed, who has been a regular for Racing Lens this season as they have moved to second in the French Ligue 1 standings. Similarly, Tunisia have dropped the French-based winger Saif Eddine Kouyaté for the World Cup, but coach Jalel Kadri on Monday made no other major changes in naming his 26-man selection. Kouyaté was chosen in the squad that competed at the World Cup in Russia 4 years ago, and although infrequently played for Tunisia since, had been expected to be included given his form in League One for his club Clermont. A total of 10 players survived from the squad that competed at the last World Cup, where Tunisia were beaten by both Belgium and England, but did win their last group game against Panama. Veteran goalkeeper Ayman Matoluthi, captain in Russia, returns to the squad after a 3-year absence in a list of 4 goalkeepers for the tournament. And that brings us to the end of the primetime news. We'll take a recap of the top stories. We told you that the military has released details of 19 wanted terrorists, places 5 million naira bounty on each. And we also said Nnamdi Kanu's trial has been adjourned indefinitely. From the foreign scene, U.S. President Joe Biden says no new Cold War with China after meeting Chinese counterpart. And in sports, we told you that Ghana, Tunisia has released Qatar 2022 FIFA World Cup squad. Thanks for watching. I am Jumoke Michaels. Good night.